Welcome to the All Around Joe podcast, where we optimize your human performance from my personal experience as an athlete, coach, and all-around self-improvement junkie. On this edition of the All Around Joe podcast, I'm going to be going over my results from the Fasting Mimicking Diet. All right, and I did InsideTracker blood tests on the front end and back end so that we can compare if there was any positive return on investment for basically not eating for 5 days. Before we jump into this, I want to let you know this show is brought to you by InsideTracker. InsideTracker is the blood testing company that I use whether or not I am doing the fasting mimicking diet about every 3 to 6 months. The reason I use them is because it's super fast and easy. You can go on their website, you can pick a package. Any of them are great to get started with. Then you set up a lab appointment where they go and they draw your blood. It takes about 15 minutes, and then a few days later you get the results on InsideTracker.com, and they will give you your full blood panel, plus they will give you ways to optimize the blood markers that are not ideal right now. And they optimize those through diet, through lifestyle, and through supplementation. It's really a great process, and the first time that I did it, I realized I was eating way too much red meat. My ferritin levels were through the roof, and I needed to increase my carbohydrate level. After doing that for about 4 weeks or about a month, I dropped about 10 pounds of body fat and increased my energy level. So ever since then, I've been a huge fan of knowing exactly what's going on inside my body, and I recommend that everybody check out InsideTracker. You can go to InsideTracker.com and use the code AllAroundJoe to get yourself 10% off. That's InsideTracker.com, code AllAroundJoe, get yourself 10% off. Also, if you have any questions, there's a little chat section on their website, and those guys are great. So feel free to ask them any questions that you might have, and they're going to give you superior, awesome answers to help you feel good about your decision to get InsideTracker. Okay, let's jump right into the fasting mimicking diet. If you'd like to know why I did the fasting mimicking diet, you can head over to allaroundjoe.com/156, where I explain why I got into doing the fasting mimicking diet, the podcasts that I listened to, the books that I read, and essentially the reason why I ended up doing the fasting mimicking diet over a water-only fast. And the reason really is because the fasting mimicking diet allows you the same results as a water-only fast with eating some food. And you don't eat a lot of food. It's not very much, but it's better than nothing, I would imagine. And you're supposed to get the exact same results as doing the water-only fast. So why not have a food source so that you don't feel like you're not having anything? And if you want to check out the fasting mimicking diet, you can go to ProLon or go to allaroundjoe.com/ProLon, and you can see what the kit is, what's included in it, what you get, how much it costs, all that fun stuff. Check it out if you're looking at doing this. I do recommend it instead of doing the water-only fast. So I did InsideTracker tests before and after, and on this podcast, I'm going to dive into the back end of InsideTracker to show you exactly what my results look like. If you are listening to this, I recommend that you go to allaroundjoe.com/167, and there will be a video down on that page where you can actually see everything that's going on here. And I do recommend doing that because it might be hard to get everything out of just listening to this, but I'm going to do my best in order for you to be able to see what's going on as we go through. So first thing, this is the back end of my InsideTracker. This is the blood work panel or tab here. And the first thing we're going to look at is creatine kinase. So this one was a positive result. It went down from the yellow. And if you look at the InsideTracker results, they usually have a green, yellow, and red, sometimes an orange as well, which would be green, yellow, orange, red. And this one has been in the yellow section for all of my tests so far, except this last one after the fasting mimicking diet. So that one was positive. And I'm not 100% sure if that has to do with the fasting mimicking diet or the fact that I just wasn't working out during that period of time, because it said that if you have high creatine kinase levels, you need to work out less in order to get the same results. And mine have been elevated for some time. My glucose level actually is the best it's ever been after here. And this is one of the main things that I was looking at improving from doing the fasting mimicking diet. It went from 102 down to 93 milligrams per deciliter. And this is one that I am going to continue to work on with my diet. Also, if you guys are listening to this, if you're looking at the back end of InsideTracker here, it shows you foods to eat right here next to the actual graph in order to optimize basically this blood marker that you're looking at. So for example, the glucose one, it says to eat navy beans, white beans, wheat germ, adzuki beans, pinto beans. So it's pretty cool. And if you were watching this, you can get an insight to what this actually looks like if you've never done InsideTracker before. The iron binding levels, also known as TS, this went down a little bit, but it was a little bit high when I started. So that's an interesting one. This one's also interesting. The ferritin levels actually jacked itself up, which I'm not sure about if that had something to do with doing the fasting mimicking diet or something before. It was already in the red from eating some red meat the test prior. I believe that's why, eating bunch of red meat the week prior to doing that, because I didn't really have the ability to tell people no. So in order for me to be polite, I ended up eating red meat about 3 times that week, and I thought that that's what this indicator was for, the pre-test. But then my ferritin level actually jumped up again in the post-test. So I'm going to keep watching that and do another test in about 3 months and see what happens there. And like I mentioned prior to the getting into this, the InsideTracker first test that I did, I had a very high level of ferritin as well, and then it's been slowly going down as I've been eliminating a lot of meat from my diet. But this last one is pretty interesting. So that, and like I mentioned, when I first had that, even that little dip, I felt quite a bit of an energy level increase, whether it's from decreasing the ferritin, which says that you can feel fatigued if it's too high, or from increasing the carbohydrates. I'm not 100% sure. But the testosterone group is another one that I was looking at. But I have to mention that testosterone probably got thrown off because we're supposed to be testing the testosterone within an hour of waking. But the person at the lab actually had trouble figuring out how to input the InsideTracker information into their computer. So I was probably about 2.5 hours after waking when the blood was actually drawn. So I'm going to kind of throw this testosterone and the cortisol markers out because I'm not sure that those are accurate based off of the time that the test was actually taken. But you can see them anyway. Testosterone took a dive actually after the 5-day fasting mimicking diet, and like I said, I'm going to throw it out, but it's still interesting to look at. Here, testosterone went down a little bit. Free testosterone dropped into the red, no good there. I want to get that guy up in the optimized zone. And the sex hormone carrier SHBG actually went up, which is also kind of interesting. The lipid group, I was hoping this one would improve a little bit more. It pretty much stayed the same. Total cholesterol just was good to go. HDL went down a little bit. LDL went up a little bit. Nothing that I'm going to worry about, but I was hoping that that would give me a better reading there as I went through the 5-day fasting mimicking diet. Then the triglycerides pretty much stayed in the optimized zone, so nothing interesting there. The cortisol went up a little bit, but like we said, that one probably should be thrown out based off the time the test was actually taken. Here's an interesting one. The B12 level jumped up from optimized to almost into the red, and this one is interesting because I'm not sure if there was a bunch of B12 that was in the food in the fasting mimicking diet that would have caused that, so I'm just going to keep an eye on that one in the future. Magnesium group dropped down, and this one again I'm not sure if it's because I stopped taking my magnesium supplements when I started doing the fasting mimicking diet, so it didn't get the same amount of magnesium from what I was eating. I'm not really sure about that one, but I'll keep an eye on it. Then you can look at the magnesium levels here versus the RBC magnesium, which is magnesium inside the red blood cells, which stayed fine, but the magnesium level or the total magnesium did drop down a little bit into the yellow. The inflammation group has always been pretty good for me no matter what I do, which is kind of interesting because people that work out a lot tend to have inflammation issues, but that one has always been very steady for me. Here's a very positive one, is my liver enzyme group has always been in the yellow, but after doing the 5-day fast it went down into the good, and you can see all these different things here if we break it down, how optimized these things have become. A couple of the liver enzymes dropped from yellow into the green, and the albumin went a little bit lower into the green, but it was already there. Then you can see these other optimized areas here. My vitamin D pretty much stayed the same. My hemoglobin pretty much stayed the same or has been in the green. Iron has kind of bounced around but went from green to green, so nothing too big to report there. The total iron binding capacity was good to go. Sodium went up into a more optimized green from green. Potassium down from green to green. Calcium down from green to green, so nothing too interesting there. Platelet group pretty much stayed optimized. And then again, ending with a testosterone group, which I'm not really sure if that's going to be great, but there wasn't much change here. The testosterone versus cortisol ratio, I'd obviously like to improve that, and I'm going to continue looking at working on that. And I would have hoped that there would have been a better change after the 5 days of fasting, but maybe I have to do the fasting a few times in order to get that to work correctly. So what we're looking at here is there were some definite positives, but there were also some things that were a little bit interesting. So like I said, I do the InsideTracker blood work every 3 to 6 months, and I will keep you posted on what those indicators say, because I'm just going to go ahead and publish all the stuff that I find. But yeah, good stuff. And the research that has gone into doing these fasts is so overwhelming that I'm going to keep on doing them. Probably in 6 months, they say if you're working on something that you need to really get better at, you should do it more frequently than that. But with a healthy individual, about every 6 months is a good amount of time. So I'll probably continue doing this every 6 months for a while and monitoring my blood work in order to see what happens. And the lab results that other people have shown have been very positive. So I'm going to keep on going down this road, and you learn a lot about yourself. It's not easy to do the 5-day fast, but it's definitely beneficial. When you come back into eating, you then tend to appreciate that a lot more than you did before, because you've limited yourself to so few calories. So these are my results. I showed you the back end of my InsideTracker. If you have any questions at all, go ahead and put them in the show notes at allaroundjoe.com/167. It's allaroundjoe.com/167, and I recommend that everybody does InsideTracker whether or not they are doing the Fasting Mimicking Diet. But like I said, you can check out the Fasting Mimicking Diet by going to allaroundjoe.com/ProLon, and you could get a 10% off discount on InsideTracker, which I recommend everybody does, by going to InsideTracker.com and using the code allaroundjoe. All right, guys, that's what I have for you today and my results from the Fasting Mimicking Diet. I hope they were interesting for you. And like I said, let me know if you have any questions. The All Around Joe podcast, where we optimize your human performance from my personal experience as an athlete, coach, and all-around self-improvement junkie. I will see you on the next podcast.